And then yeah,
Mm-hmm. And we are
streaming
live.
on IG, on Facebook, and on YouTube. We are back, and this is part two of tonight's double feature with the Big Three Man Talk podcast. We're here with a very, very special guest, the fiance of a previous guest that we once had on, Mr. Dwayne Culpepper, and he gave us the opportunity to meet his stunning fiance, very well spoken, educated woman, has a lot of good stuff to talk about here on this second part of this double feature tonight as she shares her
Mm-hmm.
story as well and dives deep into, how she's persevered and where she's at now in life and how she's healed. We want to welcome to the Big Three Man Talk podcast, Miss Alina Fleming.
Thank y'all for having me on. What's up, y'all? What's up?
How you feeling? How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good. It feels like a Friday, but
That's what's up.
it's my Friday because I work today. It's been a long week.
It do kind of feel like a Friday though. When you say that, when I think about it, it actually does. It kind of feel like a Friday for sure. No lie. So you check out the first first part of this double feature tonight with Miss Victoria.
I I sure did, and it was awesome. And I commend her for being so brave to share her story
Yes.
because just like y'all said, that's the first step. That's one of the first steps to healing is being willing to share your story so that you can get it out there so it can help someone else. Maybe prevent them from going through
Facts.
the same thing, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So big ups. Shout out to Victoria. She's doing some good things here in Minnesota too. Absolutely.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I'm glad you enjoyed that. And now we
I
got this
did.
second part with you. And let's dive into this.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yep. And
Yes, yeah, we
also
can hear you.
share,
We
share,
can hear you.
shares.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Make sure we share. Make sure we share it so we can get some people in. Hopefully, get some good feedback and comments going on. But as we dive
Yeah,
into this,
absolutely.
let's get this going. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay. So I'll start with a little bit of who I am. My name is Talina. I go by Talina or T, but my production name is Talina L. Fleming. That's my trademark because that's my legal name and I just like it. It's different. But I'm an author, I'm an actress, I'm a writer, I'm an inspirer, I'm an encourager, and I'm a builder. And that's just a short
Mm-hmm.
part of who I am.
About your story.
But my story is a very long story. And it's a story that I really can't tell in the hour that I'm going to be on here, but I'm going to do my best to get as much of it out, at least the first part of it, to try to help someone to heal. But part of my
Mm-hmm.
story involves that I wanted to start with tonight is very almost similar to Victoria's, to be honest. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I endured things as a child, as a young child, as a teenager that I should have never experienced at the hands of people who were supposed to take care of me, protect me, and love me. And I don't think I've
Right.
ever said this publicly until tonight. So yes, I have been healed from many things, but I am still in my healing process because healing is a process. So
Right.
let's just start there. The biggest thing that weighs on my heart tonight, honestly, is my mom. Um, my mom is here in Minnesota with me now, but she lived in Chicago her whole life. And my mom is
Mm.
now, I almost lost her twice. I have two siblings in a huge family. And she wasn't in a good situation for a very long time. And I just want to touch on how us ladies have to learn how to love ourselves enough to choose ourselves because we can allow some men to destroy our very being by giving so much to
Mm.
them and nothing to ourselves. And that's kind of the story that my mom has had for 30, 40 years almost with the wrong person. And now she is legally blind. My mom lost a lot of weight. She has congestive heart failure. She has a lot of health things going on to where last September 2022, I had to go to Chicago and just grab her from the situation that she was in and bring her here and like start all over again. So I got her medical attention. I've been managing her health. I took care of her in my own home for almost a year until I couldn't handle it anymore. So now my mama's in a group home and she lives very close to me. So when I visit with her, I try to keep giving her hope and keep her live and lively by, playing with her, messing with her, let her know that he's still here and just trying to be her eyes for her. But it's heartbreaking for me. And the part that
Right.
bugs me a lot is that hurts the most for me is that I've always wanted my mom to move here with me when I first moved here 18 years ago. And she wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
because she didn't want to leave the man in her life at the time. And I respected her wishes. I mean, she was able to be in her right mind. My mom also has dementia, by the way. So imagine being blind, you can't see the world. Your brain is not working the way it used to. Your communication, when you can't really talk the way you used to, you can't walk the way you used to. Your heart is not strong enough to carry some of the biggest burdens you used to carry, right? Um,
Right.
so imagine that. So I had to bring her here to get her back on her feet. And even though she's here now, I still don't have her the way I always envisioned. And I don't want to come off as being ungrateful. Let me just say that because God is wonderful. Like it could have been another way. And I'm totally grateful that I still have her. But it hurts to see her in that condition because I don't feel like she deserved it. No matter what, me and my mom haven't always had the greatest relationship, but we've always been close. And I love her no matter what, right? But at the same
Mm.
time, the things that she's experienced, even from her own childhood throughout her adult life and relationships, she didn't deserve it. She's been through her own trauma. And I feel like she loved us the best way she knew how, based on what she went through as a kid and coming up. But the way I
Right.
look at her now, it's like she's living, she's alive, but she's not living. She doesn't have that quality of life that everybody deserves to have. Right. And so I do my best to try to help her with that. But every time I go and visit her and I hang out with her and I try to help her do things or just be involved and go eat with her, whatever, when I leave in tears almost every time. No matter how much fun we have, I leave in tears almost every single time. My heart is always heavy. And it's not that I don't believe that God can still turn a situation around, because I totally, and I'm still believing Him for that. It's just in the moment of that pain that you're dealing with, sometimes there's no way but to just feel that pain. Sometimes you have to feel that pain to get to the next level of your healing. And for me, that's the hardest thing I've been dealing with for the past 2 years now. And with that, also has re-triggered some old childhood things that I experienced at the hands of my mom's partner, that I
Mm.
should have never experienced, which is what I mean when I say it's similar to with Victoria. And for years, I resented my own mother because I felt like she chose him over her
Mm-hmm.
children. I felt like she she just wouldn't let go of this man who I considered to not be a good man, not to be a good person at the time. And I mean, like now I understand it's not him, it's the spirits that he carries, it's the drug addiction, it's all the things that he's allowed himself to indulge in over the years that has got a hold of him. So now that I've given him over to God, it's like I can forgive him and say I can move on, but I still have that boundary there. But it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't take away the hurt and it doesn't take away the pain and it doesn't take away the reality of the situation. So yeah, I just had a mouthful. I know I did.
No, you
But
good.
No, that's
I
all good. That's a good intro. That give the give the audience a little bit of a basis of what you're talking about tonight, what we're going to be discussing. So,
so now I'm in a place where I am trying to get healing from the way I've been feeling about this whole situation. I have a sibling that I don't talk to, and we used to be super,
mhm.
super tight. And we don't talk now because of the situation with my mom, because there's been a lot of blaming going on and things that happen that should never happen. It's like I'm the oldest of three, right? And I've always been my mom's backbone. I've been there with her through a lot of different things, and so have my other siblings. Like when I left home, But if we have always been so close, and if our mother was in your care and we've been communicating with you, trying to help, do all these things, and you're not telling us what's really going on until we have to come and see for ourselves, it puts us in a hard place. You know what I mean? And I love my sister, I love my family, but we human and we err. We do.
Hmm.
And I don't want to walk around holding the hurt and pain that I have towards certain people because of what I think about what happened with my mom. Because every time I see her, I get mad all over again. And it's been almost 2 years now that it's been almost 2 years she's been here. So I'm on this podcast tonight. I thank y'all for having me, but I wanted to come on here just share this story to tell people, to encourage, especially our Black women and women in general, to spend that time getting to know yourself, spend that time going through your trauma to heal. Because if unhealed
Right.
trauma can create more trauma. Because when you don't
That's
have
all it's
healed
gonna do.
trauma, it's going to create more trauma because it's going to affect how you deal with people. It's going to affect how you show up to things, to work or whatever. If you don't address it, if you don't acknowledge it, it's never going to go away just because you choose to push it down. And so talking about it to people, speaking your truth. There's gonna be people that's gonna get mad about me saying what I just said. And I really at this point, I really don't care because I know it's true because I lived it. And so however they choose to perceive it or however they choose to deal with what I'm saying on here tonight, that's their prerogative. But because I'm a person that's all about love, I'm not gonna get on here and talk bad about people that hurt me. I'm gonna be real about it and hold them accountable. I'm gonna speak on how I feel. I'm gonna say what happened, but I'm not going to sit up here and throw hate or shade to them because they're human and they deserve love, even though what they did to me, what they did, or how they treated me is how they treated me. It doesn't change how I'm going to show up at all. It doesn't change who I am. But my
That
sibling
makes
and I
sense.
aren't. We're like not talking because I'm choosing not to talk to her. We don't talk because they are choosing not to talk to me because they are still upset with the way I did things when I went and got my mother. And they're entitled to that. I'm not saying they're not entitled to that at all. But at the same time, so am I. And my mom wouldn't be here if that hadn't happened. I'm convinced that she would not be here still if that didn't
So
happen.
would you say it's your siblings' own selfishness to what I'm saying, to hold that grudge against you instead of
Mhm.
realizing that your mother wasn't in the best particular
Yeah,
care
yeah,
situation, what I'm saying, in order for
absolutely.
her to be, have her best health?
Yeah, I would definitely
That's
say that. I would say that um I would say that when you can see someone standing before you that gave you life and you can be okay with them living in a certain situation, right? That is very like I wouldn't put my enemy in this place. If you can stand in front of them every day and wake up every day and be in the same household with them and see that they're not, and even for yourself to be in that situation, let's just go there with it. Even for yourself to be in a situation, not loving yourself enough to say this is not the way it's supposed to be, right? But then when
hmm
things hit the fan and somebody steps in to say, hey, this ain't cool, or I need to come take mom and come do this with her. Now the tables are turning. Now it's all about what happened, how you were wronged, and how things happen. Like I can't stop caring about my mom and focus on what you need right now because she needs things more. And it's like it's hard to get people to understand that she's not the same person she used to be. Like when people want to call and talk to her, I want people to talk to her because I want her to remember her family. I want her to remember where she came from. Like she's in a whole new state she's never been in that she doesn't get to see. She only gets to hear because
Right.
she can still hear, you know. So I have to tell her what's going on. I have to tell her what color clothes she's got on. I have to tell her, let her feel my hair and do things. I have to call people and let them hear her voice and have her hear their voice so she can remember who they are. But I have to also be her gatekeeper for negativity
hmm
and things that could hinder her growth or her health in any kind of way. And so
Right.
that's what I've been doing. And now because I do that, it's like I am the bad person in this story. But if I have to be that, I guess I'll have to be that, you know. But don't let someone else's perception of you being a bad person cause you to not move in the way that you know is right, that's going to help you or somebody else to grow and be better. That's
Right.
just a setup for
I
failure.
mean, to me, it kind of seems like they just don't want to be called out on, their wrongdoings. They don't want to take accountability for their actions. And if for somebody to actually do it like what you're doing right now, you
Hmm.
holding them accountable as you should be, um, they're not gonna take a good liking to it just because the whole point is they feel like, hey, I ain't doing nothing wrong, or they probably know they doing something wrong, but they don't want it to get out to the point
Yeah,
where people like more people start holding them accountable, and now it's like, oh damn, now I look like the bad person now, what I'm saying, in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
I really can't stand people like that. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
and and to nerve and for the nerve of them to have to for them to call themselves adults and don't and that's like an adult thing to take accountability for your actions. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like if they were the ones that caused your mom to go into the state that she's in, then I mean, hey, it is what it is. If it's truth, it's truth. I mean, yeah, like you may not deliver it the way how they probably want you to deliver it, or if they even want you to say it at all. But if it's truth, it's truth. I mean, you can't deny that. You can't go past it. You can't like you can be mad all you want, but if it's true, it's true. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
And the funny thing is that whenever I have to address anyone for anything that I feel wronged or offended by, right? I'm not an easily offended person, number one. I'm not like, because I don't care what people think about me or what they say about having my back about me. I live in who I am, and I'm unapologetic. I'm unapologetically me, and I'm going to continue to do that. I'm 45 years old. I don't owe nobody no answers for nothing. I'm gonna do what I choose to do within the will of what God is okay with. And even in that I err sometimes, right? But it's just like
Right.
I I approach people in love, expecting that back in return. But instead of that, I get the opposite, which is hate and a bunch of yelling, arguing, and cussing people out. And I'm just like, I'm not gonna sit and listen to that or deal with that. And it took a lot of patience and grace and forgiveness for me to even allow myself to sit in the things I did sit in for so long with that situation. It took a lot of patience, a lot of forgiveness,
Right.
and a lot of grace because I had to remove myself from the equation and think about this is not for me, it's for mom, and it's for somebody else, period.
Hmm.
Because,
So I got a question. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go
yeah.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, ask your question.
I, I was about to say I got a question for you. What are some of the things that you do in your life today that I think I kind of asked Victoria this earlier too, but like
Hmm.
things that you do that you can share with others that help you persevere through dealing with this type of day-to-day
Hmm.
trauma within your mind. You know what I'm saying? Like what are some of the things I think from having the conversation with you, I can tell you God fearing, so I already know God, the Bible first and foremost, but
Hmm.
what type of physical things do you do? Like how do you go about your day? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like let us in a little bit, chime in on
Like,
that.
so me being a writer, I journal. And my first book,
Hmm.
actually, which is called On My Way to Christ, My Journey to Freedom. It's a book of me like touching on my own self-discovery and my freedom in Christ. I journal. That book came from journals. That book came from me writing poetry, me having conversations with God, in private, me doing all the writings I was doing. And I can't even go all the way deep into how that came about because it came about because of a close friend of mine. But it was something that God had told me to do a long time ago, right? Like, you're going to write this book, and this is the title. And I sat on that for 10 years and I did not do it. And I was going through something really, really hard at the time. And my friend was like, well, what is it that God told you to do that you haven't done yet? And I said, write a book. And I was like, she's like, what you waiting for? What you scared of? I said, well, because I don't want people to judge me about what I write, or it's gonna be boring because they're gonna be what they want. And she was like, do it anyways. And so she said, you journal a lot, right? Get those journals and put it together, and you got your book, and God will give you the rest. And as I did that, He literally gave me the rest. And so one of the biggest things that I do is I love water, and I'll go to the water, like to a lake, to a river, to whatever, a nice scenery, and I'll just sit there and breathe, and I'll write, and I just spend time with God. I can't even say that there's many other things that I do other than the fact that I literally love to be in God's presence. And at the water is where I find peace the most. And so I can let things out. I can cry there. I can get a sense of peace to myself there. But the biggest thing I do is I walk in grace, because I've been given grace, and I write a lot. I write and I journal and I pray. Um, and I'm
Right.
around other positive people. Like when I decided that I knew I wanted to be a wife, right? I knew I wanted to be a wife for a very long time. And I learned on what a wife really represents and how they ought to carry themselves. And I started developing those things. And so I put
Mhm.
myself in the presence of other wives who had successful marriages and who are having God-led marriages, who are working, putting in the work so that their relationship can last, it can work. And so I believe in, if you want to be something, you have to impute yourself, not necessarily go and use people and then get information and go run with it. I just feel like you should have friends at different levels, like friends that are gonna be above, like have more money than you, that have more education than you, they have more businesses. Because if you're trying to get to this place, how can you get it unless you first learn from somebody else that you see? So I put myself in a position to be around people that are gonna uplift me and encourage me and even tell me when I'm wrong. Even tell
Mhm.
me the hard truth when I'm wrong or I need to get my act together, whether I want to hear it or not. I put myself around people who are going to do that, and not people who are going to be negative about every little thing that they see or do. Like, I
Right.
can't be around those kind of people. Like, every time you talk to them, it's a woe is me type of situation. And I'm just like, I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to be sad. I want to live. I don't
Yeah.
want to be suicidal. I want to live and be happy and be free. So I count it all joy for my sufferings, and I surround myself with people that are going to pour into me as much as I want to pour into other people in a positive way.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I don't like being around dark cloud people myself. I
Amen.
say if it's shiny, let it stay shiny. And when the
Hmm.
thunderstorm come, you know what I'm saying, that means it's time. But I ain't man,
Absolutely.
look, that's
Yeah.
that's a
All right,
wonderful
so
thing
we're
though.
gonna we're
I'm
gonna oh, not to cut you
go
off,
ahead.
but um Victoria, she actually asked some questions for Talina.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay.
on Instagram. She's watching from Instagram. So
Okay. Hey, Victoria.
She watching from both or
yeah,
Facebook now because she
she
just
probably
commented.
she on Facebook now. So yeah, so basically she's saying what are the things that happened to, I guess she's saying your mom, that made her be the way she is. Can she elaborate a little more? And when did her mom get this way? And then she said, and how old was she when those things happened to Selena? And then she just came into Facebook and said, when did her mom get the way she is?
Okay, so now I got to go a little bit in more detail with that. So, my mom was also a product of molestation. She was molested by her stepdad for as a young girl. She also suffered domestic abuse at the hands of her partners as time progressed too, with different people that, like, dad, if you're watching this, I love you still. I'm sorry, but even my own dad, my biological dad, was abusive to her. He's repented for that and been redeemed, and he's a better man now. But back then, he wasn't in my life, and he used to abuse my mom physically as well. And
Right.
she just was never really treated like a woman should be treated. I watched her give her all to a man who didn't treat her like the queen that she was in my eyes. I watched her deal
Right.
with a drug addict and an abuser, in more than one way, and just still give her all. There was times where she would tell me, I want to leave, and she would tell me to come and get her before she had her first stroke. Come and get me. And I'll say, okay, I'm coming. You let me know when you're ready, and I'll come to get you. And every time I came and said I was ready to get her, she just wasn't ready. So when a person's in their right mind to make their own decisions, you can't force them to do anything other than respect their wishes and still love them anyway, right? So that's what I did.
Right.
But my mom dealt with an abusive partner verbally. He abused drugs. He mistreated the children. Like, I don't want to disrespect anybody because that's still somebody else's dad too. Because this is my one of my siblings' dad, and they have other siblings too. So I'm not on here to bash them. I'm just speaking on the things that I visibly saw as coming up being the oldest child with my mom, that she experienced that led to where she's at now. She made choices to stay. And I say to this day, like, even though she's in this place now, I feel like sometimes part of her her lack of motivation to do anything is because she's blaming herself for being in this position because she had the chance to get out. She made choices to stay and deal with it. And she's always given more of herself to other people than she ever gave to herself. Never
Yeah.
going to the doctor to help get her health intact, taking care of her body and herself. You know what I'm saying? Like more concerned with the things on the outer than the inner. And over time, that destroyed her life. So she had her first
Mm.
stroke in 2019. I wanted her to move here then. And my other sibling wanted her to come and stay with her, but she chose to stay with the other sibling and let them all take care of her. And so I decided to just stay on the background, even though I'm the oldest child, and help the best way I could with like sending money whenever they needed for whatever, sending her care packages, showing up to visit her whenever I knew I could, as often as I could,
Hmm.
making sure I checked in with her, calling her. And sometimes, to be honest with you, my mom has made mistakes with how she shut her family and other people out for this person. And that caused a wedge as well. And so she got to the point where she never wanted to leave the house. They were always in the same house together. He was abusive. And watching him overdose over and over and over again, like wanting him to do better, but him not choosing to do better, but she still stuck by her man, if you that's what you want to call it, And I
Hmm.
used to fault her for that, but I never wanted to be that. And I understood that when you're in that situation and you feel like it's all you can get, you just stay stuck in it. But I learned from her, and her not taking care of herself after her first stroke is what led to her in this situation now. I started noticing that she was losing weight, so I was asking questions about what's going on, and I was told that she just don't want to eat. She's stubborn, and she is stubborn, so it was believable because my mom is very stubborn, even now with her having dementia, she's still stubborn. So what happened is she wasn't getting her medications like she was supposed to. Um, she wasn't getting cared for like she was supposed to. She wasn't going to the doctor. She wasn't getting therapy. None of that. And so
So they
after a
they was just
while,
leaving her over there to rot.
man, like, and making it seem like I'm not going to say that the job was easy. So I know my sibling she needed help, but you don't want to reach out to the
Hmm.
help. How can you get the help when people are
Right.
right here telling you, like, let us know what you need us to do, but you're choosing not to, and then you're blaming us because of things being too overwhelming for you, and you don't have a life because you're taking care of mom. And I'm like, I'll take off your hands, send her up, I'll come get her. Like, what's going on? And it took a bad situation for that to even happen. Like, I almost lost my mom, like in the worst way. Like, I went to go and visit her because I had been getting phone calls like, your mama not looking good, go check on her. Like, I don't know what's going on over there, go check on her. So I left everything I was doing in Chicago, in Minnesota, with nothing in my pocket, no idea how I was going to get there because times was hard for me then. And
Right.
when I tell you, God showed up and made sure, this is how you know when people really care about you, because when you have real people in your life and in your corner, when stuff like this happens, they show up for you. And they showed up for me. They
Hmm.
made sure I was able to get to see my mom and come back and all that. I stayed there for a whole week till I got her straight. But when I got there, I walked in the door and I was just like shocked at the way the place looked, shocked at how she looked. And I looked at my sibling and I said, she needs to go to the hospital. And she said, no, she's just tired, but a lot of stress going on over here, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I'm a medical assistant. I work with RNs. I got the brain of an RN. I knew my mom needed attention in the medical attention. So I said I'll take her to the hospital, and that's what I did. And when I took her to the
Right.
hospital, I found out that she was having more mini strokes that messed up her brain. I found that her heart failure had gotten worse. She had lost so much weight, she was literally skin and bones. Like, my mom's never been, she's always been thick and big boned, like me or bigger. And she had lost all that weight. And so at one thing after another, like they would do testing and they would tell me this new thing is going on with her. And well, this is what's happening. And so it got to the point where all I could do was just cry through it. I cried through it so hard. Like, and I can say this now that she's here, like it was all worth it because she almost died. My mom couldn't hold her head up. She couldn't hold her eyes up. She was in a really bad situation. And so just the choices that she made is what landed. To answer your question, Victoria, sorry that was long-winded, but to answer your question, what landed her in that situation was the choices that she made to put so many people, especially her partner, above her own needs and to pour more into him than she poured into herself. And I've learned that you cannot pour from an empty cup. and she was an empty cup. And she just kept trying
Mm.
to pour and pour and pour from that cup and not getting nothing reciprocated. Nobody else poured back into her. And so after a while, she almost dried up.
All
So
right, so
it's
she got
choices.
she got two more questions. So she
Hmm.
said, how did you forgive your abuser, and how long did it take to do so? And then it said, how old was you when you was abused, when she was abused? She said, well, so how old was Talina when she was abused? I guess it said, how old was you when you was abused?
It started at the age of 7. I would be touched on and
Mm.
felt on. And then it was
That's
like
too fucking young.
sometimes when
Hell
we would
no.
dance, like when we have big parties, my mom would always tell us to go dance with your dad. And we would just all have fun and dance. And he would slide his hand down my butt, stuff like that. And then it went further when I got pregnant with my first child. The way I forgave my abuser, I haven't all the way completely. And I realize that now. It's a day by day thing. I have to wake up every day and say, I forgive you. But I did an assimilation with a pastor of mine, my spiritual father. The first part of that was acknowledging that I wanted to forgive them, that I didn't want to hold on to, and my mom too, and myself. He did an assimilation, like he had us in a class, and he said, "I'm going to I'm going to be the person that you need to forgive, and I want you to look
Mhm.
at me, and I want you to see that person that you want to forgive, and you need to forgive. And no matter how hard it is, if you got to scream, cry, kick, I want you to look at me and say, I forgive you." And I want you to keep saying that until you really feel it in your chest, like you forgive them. And it took me a long time to do that, but I did it that day. And every day after that, I did that. And I finally told my mom how I felt about the stuff that I felt like she allowed or didn't address the way I felt she should have. And because I resented her for a long time, and I had to tell her, like, this is why it's hard for me to be around and be respectful to him because of the stuff that's been going on for all these years that you've allowed. You know what I mean? And it took, I can say I'm still in the process of forgiving, because when this thing happened with my mom, when I found out things that my mom she's been sexually abused as an adult. Even my mom is 61, she'll be 62 this year. And she's been sexually abused even as an adult. I have no idea who, when, where, what, whatever. But to know that, it's like, dang, like what's been going on in these 4 walls. So it reopened up old wounds that I thought I had forgiven and gotten past. The more I learned about what happened in the house, the more I got angry, and the more I was like, no, I can't do that. I don't like you. I don't care. I can't care about you. But because of the heart that I have, God won't let me stay in that place of I don't care. I had to even tell my abuser. I talked to my abuser, and I had to tell him, you never even said you were sorry. You told my mom that I seduced you and that I came on to you. How you know she didn't come on to you? How you know she didn't seduce me? I am 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 years old. So how is that I'm supposed to seduce a grown man? And so I had to tell him that, like, you want to know why my mom is not, you can't be in her life anymore like this? Because one, you're still doing the things that got you in this position and that got her here. And until you change that and change how you move, my boundary is, I know you say you love her, but that's your own way of your own crazy toxic love that you have, but it's not love. Because if you loved her, you wouldn't, some of the things that you've done, you wouldn't do. But then I realized too, it's not the person, it's their addiction, it's their drug, it's, and the enemy is evil spirits that, excuse me, that do this to people when they don't know no better.
It's
And
selfishness
so,
too.
yeah, forgiveness comes from knowing that it's not flesh and blood that you're wrestling against. It's the spirits, it's the high powers that you don't even understand or see. And so I can
Mm.
honestly say I'm still walking in that healing and that forgiveness, Victoria, because for a long time I couldn't stand anybody in the same room with him. But I did it for my mom. I put on a face for my mom and my other siblings because I knew that that's their dad, that's our stepdad, that's her partner for all these years. And I'm not gonna say he was horrible a whole 100% of the time. He did some nice things for us too. But when the good, I bet when the bad outweighs the good, you got to call a spade a spade. And that's just exactly what I was. I started off at the age of 7, 8 years old, where I would be sleeping in my room sometimes, and he would come in the room at night and just rub on my butt. And my mom literally almost caught him one time. And he lied and said, well, I was telling her to get under the covers because she always got to put up under the covers. And literally he was in there feeling and touching on me. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't want to go too deep into that because I don't know who's watching, and I'm not going to
Yeah,
apologize for saying what I'm
that's
saying. But
fine.
at the same time, I'm not trying to stir the pot or cause something to be what it ain't because I'm moving past all this stuff. Or I'm
Yeah.
trying to, should I say? But we go through trauma and we don't realize how that trauma affects you and how it shapes who you are and who you become if you let it. You can let it shape you in a positive way, or you can let it shape you in a negative way. And I chose the positive route because I didn't want to have that hanging over my head forever. But honestly, now because of what happened recently, it reopened some wounds. Like the wounds that were just about to be healed, and you had another injury to it. It's like, dang, now it's a bigger wound. I got to take a longer time to heal. And so that's where I'm at with it. I'm still walking through that process.
Okay.
And she said y'all almost got the same story. And she said so many people
Yeah.
going through the same thing. And that's like I was telling her on earlier. I was like, yeah, just so many people, you know what I'm saying, going through the same thing. And it's just, I mean, they may not go through it exactly the same way, but there are people that actually do, what I'm saying, can understand, the struggles because they probably
And,
went through the
Yeah.
same thing or
and
someone like it.
it happens way more than it should though, especially I ain't gonna
Hmm.
say in other cultures too, because I know other cultures have their stuff that they do, but it feels like because I'm a black woman, I've been around black folks all my whole life for the most part, and it seems like those things happen in the black communities more, and it's always made to be taboo. It's always made to be
Hmm.
this what happens in this house stays in this house. We even have to be careful with family, like cousins and uncles and like women and men. I ain't even gonna go there because I don't want nobody to. I ain't trying to start nothing, but there's things that has happened in my own family, like with cousins and stuff that shouldn't have happened. You feel me? So, and it was always be quiet, don't tell nobody. And then
Hmm.
after a while, you
That's who's.
normalize these things,
That's
and it's
because you
Yep.
don't
not
want to get in
And
normal.
trouble. You don't want to get fucked up.
we all
Yeah, don't.
we all as black people, we come from a hypersexualized background, going dating back to slavery and how they
Mm-hmm.
treated us in slavery and how they
Mm-hmm.
breeded us and different things like animals and shit. You fast forward all the way to today, those problems are still existing. They don't like the trauma from that stuff is like people don't believe in that shit, but it's real. The trauma
It
from those
is.
curses is steadily being passed down. Not
Mm-hmm.
now, you know what I'm saying? Instead of being bred all day like some animal, now you're just sitting up, this dude is sitting up, it's being passed down, he looking at his daughter, you know what I'm saying, or he looking at his little
Mm-hmm.
sister, or you know what I'm saying, somebody he's related to, and he's so hypersexualized that he can't even control himself, to which he'll when try to go forth with having
Mm-hmm.
sexual relations or doing sexual, acts toward these girls or women and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But like it's real. It's real in the field.
And you wonder why these kids like generational curses are real. And I'm a generational curse breaker. And that's why I know the attacks on my life are so strong because of who I am in the kingdom. I have value in rank in the kingdom because of who I am, who God called me to be. And generational curse breaking is not always, oh, I'm going to pray this thing away. You got to do something different than the people before you did for you to break that curse. It come with prayer, absolutely. You need God. You got to have God at the beginning of it to do it all. So to break the generational curses, you can't repeat the same things because when you repeat it, you just repeating a cycle. You're creating more cycles. So what I did is I'm doing things different. I didn't raise my kids the way I was raised. I didn't raise them. And when I saw myself starting to do that, I had to pull back and look at me like, this is the same thing my mama did to me. This is what my parents did to us. And we know how we felt as a result of that and what kind of adults it made us. So I don't want to repeat that with these kids because I want them to have a different mindset. I want them to have a different lifestyle. I want them to have different goals. Like there was times when I was even laughed at for saying I wanted to do things like be a lawyer at one point. I was laughed at about that. Like, but everything that I said I wanted to do in my life, like learn how to drive and finish school and get a degree and take my kids out of state and raise them in a different, better community and pour different things into them. I've done that by the grace of God. because I wanted to be something different. First generation college students, you know what I mean? Like my daughter ain't had no kid at 16. You feel me? Like my mom was a teen mom, I was a teen mom, her mom was a teen mom. It broke with my daughter because she's not. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
jailbirds, drug addicts, none of that because I raised them differently. And I didn't raise them after I realized that me trying to rule them like my mama did with the iron fist. I raised them in love. I raised them in the open door policy, like whatever you're dealing with, if you can't talk to me, talk to somebody, but you can always know you can come to me. And I'm gonna do my best to understand and to be there to support you. I don't care how old you are. I'm gonna do that because that's what kids need. And I didn't have that. I didn't have that. It wasn't, oh, you finna go do this, sweetheart. Good job. You should go do that. It was like, ha, you can't do that. You got a speech impediment. How you gonna be a lawyer? That type of stuff. It's like, dang, you
Right.
just killed my whole dream in one sentence. But if I
So,
would have
and
chose to let
that
that,
sound like black people too.
right. If I
Mhm.
had a
That's
chose
how
to
we
let
be.
that and being better than me for my life, like they told me I can't, so I won't. No. I just took a different path. And I'm still taking different paths to this day. And I know everybody's story is different, but they have similarities to it. But your story is your story, and everybody has one. But if I
You
can
know,
encourage
this,
anybody
I was just gonna
to,
say the similarities are just it's just trauma.
yeah,
That's the
absolutely.
similarity right there, the trauma.
If I can encourage
Look
anybody,
at you.
especially Black women, to tell your story, there's so much power. You take back that power from your abuser, from the pain, from whatever you went through. You taking back that power when you tell your story, even if you don't tell it to the public or tell it to another person. You can tell it in a book, you can write it down in a journal, but just releasing it because the more you hold on to it, the more it's going to keep tearing you apart.
Hmm. Hmm. That's real. Wise words spoken by a wise woman. Like,
I
definitely.
appreciate that. But yeah, I
I'm just speechless over here, man. Both of y'all stories is just like something else, man. Like seriously.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Victoria, I watched Victoria's I was watching her segment while I was getting ready for my night, right? And I'm just like,
Hmm.
man, we got like I said the same thing to myself. And sometimes we as Black people don't know how to pour into somebody else and help somebody else be great, to heal, to learn to forgive, to get back on their path or whatever. But if that's what we're supposed to do, we're supposed to be unified, not divided. We're supposed to be not in competition. We're supposed to help each other out. And so it's just like
Exactly.
hearing that from another Black woman, it's like I commend you for that, for telling your story and your truth, no matter who believes it, no matter who thinks it's whatever. You took the time to be brave enough to go on public and say these things, and just saying and acknowledging it to begin with, it takes a lot of bravery to do. But now because you've done that, your door to healing has been open. But I encourage y'all to like just keep looking into yourself, pour into yourself more than, not saying be selfish and be like forget everybody else, but you gotta give to you first. After you give
Right.
to God, if you believe in God and you believe in that, like I do, you give to yourself next. Because if you keep giving to everybody else, like somebody said something recently. I heard a story about somebody who, they building a house, and then they said they friend building a house too, and they friend keep
Mhm.
borrowing bricks. Let me get a brick. Let me get a brick. Let me get a brick. But you didn't help your friend get so many bricks that now you ain't got none left to build your own house. So you have to have that balance. And yeah, I can help you, but it's only so far. Like, how are you going to help yourself? You can go get bricks the same way I went and got bricks. I'll show you how. I'm a big avid person of, I'm not holding on to nothing because why, it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to God. And so if God gives me a talent, some wisdom, some education, some knowledge to go help the next person, I'm gonna share it. What they choose to do with it, they choose to do with it. Because I'm where I am
Right.
because I had people who believed in me and who shared things with me, and they didn't hold things back. They shared things to help me on the journey that I've been on for the last 10 years. So that's what I would advise us women, us men, black women. Nothing against other races and cultures, but our black culture is literally starving right now, like in so many ways, because we refuse to be together and be unified and help each other. It's all about self. So that's my advice is to Learn how to work with the right people, number one, but also learn how to pour more into yourself and love yourself more. So, Victoria, you said you want to go on your fast and spend some time with yourself and get closer to God and discover who you are. Great job. That's what you definitely need to do because I had to do that too, and I'm still
Mhm.
doing it.
Well, that's powerful. Like now I know you. I can tell you're a spiritual woman. So you know what I'm saying. I know you got to get ready for your date night, so I don't want to keep you too long. But I do want to ask you, like, where does the Bible and this and spirituality and all of this, where does it come in for you? Like, where does it fit in as far as your journey with remaining, trying to, well, not remaining, but trying to, fight for this healed spirit and fight for to be better and be in a better mindset and not let your trauma and your things that you've been through can constantly
I
keep attacking your mind and your soul.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first you got to read it, right? A lot of people that talk about the Bible and how real and how not real it is, or how it ain't for, maybe everybody. I just say it ain't, it's not that the Bible isn't for everyone and everyone isn't for the Bible. But the way
Right.
it helps me throughout my whole entire life is I find encouragement in reading God's word. I look at stories of people who, even though people say, oh, they're fictitious stories, they're not even real stories. Okay, you could say that, but to me, they are. They're real and they help me carry on another minute, another hour, another day. Because sometimes when I find
Mhm.
myself in those moments of like, everybody has dealt with depression to some type of extent, whether it's chronic depression or a momentarily situational depression when things are not going right, when life is life. And I'm being transparent when I say I have dealt with that too. I can't say
Right.
I've ever been suicidal, but I've considered being dead. Like if I was dead, how would life be? You know what I'm saying? So um for me
I
it's
think
it's
we
the
all
word
have
that
been there
keeps
before.
me, yeah, it keeps me going. Like when I read about how much God loves me, number one, how he thinks of me, when it tells me how God and what Jesus did for me and how God thinks of me, even though people say, well, God wouldn't have allowed this to happen if he loved you so much, or you was a kid and he let this man touch on you, people keep forgetting that the enemy loves to pervert everything that God created. And he hates human beings because God chose us over them, over the angels. So in my mind, it's like, no, I'm thankful for my suffering and my struggle because it made me who I am. Did I deserve it? No. Could have done what he did to get me out of it? I'm so sure he could have. But even if he didn't, I still love him. I'm still going to work to show people his love. And if we learn how to see ourselves more the way God sees us, it'll change your entire life. And that's not
Mm.
even easy to do because we're so critical of our own selves too. Like we're so low self-esteem, having a self-critical of ourselves and each other, that it's hard to see that, oh, no matter what, how filthy I am, how undeserving I am, God gonna still love me and give me faith and give me joy and give me peace that can't no man on earth give me. Like it's an inner thing. It's not an outer thing. It's an inner thing for me. It's making the choice to say I'm choosing, regardless of what the world says, I'm choosing to still believe that God is who God is, and He sits high on the throne, and He loves and adores me, and He's got my back, and He's walking with me. And so when I read His Word, I'm reminded of all those things, the Psalms and the Proverbs, and even even the book of the Gospels. Like all of those things help remind me of who I am and who God is to me and how God sees me and how God loves me. And I just try to give that back to other people because I feel like when the Bible says love covers a multitude, I believe that. So it starts with me. So I'm not out here like talking about you like, oh, you're filthy, you're ugly, you're this, you're that. If I have $1 left in my pocket and somebody needs it for a different reason, if I have it to give, I'm going to give it. So it's all about love and the journey of peace and freedom for me.
That's all about. And that's what's up. That's what's up. I feel like we definitely need to we need to have you back on again for to like be able to have this conversation extended.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know y'all getting ready to do y'all great night. Great
yeah,
night. Well, I hope y'all do
Great
have a
night.
great night,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
get
Hope
ready to
y'all do
do
have a good night.
get ready to do y'all date night. But yeah, like I want to be able to dive into this a little more with you because I feel like it could go somewhere where we could really have some interesting dialogue, the type of stuff that me personally, I love to
yeah.
talk about.
Absolutely,
But yeah, well,
absolutely. I'm
well,
all for it, especially if it's gonna help somebody else and glorify God in the end. So hey, just let me know. I'm
so
thankful that y'all brought me on here too. So thank you for the opportunity.
no problem. Where can people find you and get some of this good motivation speaking and or motivational speaking and different things like that and just kind of reach out to you and gauge some of your advice on some of
Mhm.
these things and topics and stuff.
Well, you can definitely follow my Facebook page. It's Talina Fleming. Page is just my government name. And that's the same thing on Instagram. I'm on TikTok too, Snapchat, all that. I have a YouTube channel called Empowering Words of Encouragement, but I'm about to revamp that page and change the name of it to Talina's Corner of Inspiration, potentially.
Okay.
Um, but it's just a place where I like if God drop a word in my heart or if I have an encouraging word to share, whether it's the word of God. I usually do it through music because I love music, whether it's gospel or there's like R&B love songs and stuff. I'll share it like me on my way to work and I'll just give a good encouraging word for the people to hear. And it's on my YouTube channel. It's called Empowering Words of Encouragement. And then I post a lot of inspirational stuff on my page here and there. But then I have a Facebook group that's also called Empowering Words of Encouragement that I have to kind of reconstruct. So I got a busy year going on, and I'm just trying to balance out what I got to do to get back on track. And at some point, I will have a podcast of, of my own that I will be doing the very same thing to help other women and even men um, learn how to discover themselves and heal and forgive and live their best life in their healed state of mind and not
Right.
a state of mind of being
Hey,
bound.
make sure
So
you get us on there
yeah,
too.
absolutely. I gotta give it back. I'm a reciprocity type of chick, so I gotta give it back. So I'm definitely gonna have y'all on there because yeah, this is my first time actually doing something like this, and I actually like it.
Yeah,
So
because
thank y'all
that was
for
actually
having
gonna
me on.
be my question. So by this being your first time ever being on a podcast, like how are you feeling? Like, does it give you any ideas for your own?
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank y'all for what y'all shared about like the equipment and how to get it started. It definitely gives me ideas about my own. And this is kind of why I set up this little corner here. Because this was like my office space, but I kind of moved it around. And this is going to be my little inspirational corner. Because what it says on this side is it says, I am myself, I am whole, I am learning, I am letting go, I am free, I am talented and courageous. I am protecting my joy. I am brave. I am healing. I am loving myself unapologetically. I write poetry too, but I ain't write that down. But and the other one is like God says you are, and it says it's got different words and it's got scripture. So it says God says you are unique. Psalms 139:13, special, lovely, precious, strong, chosen, capable, and forgiven.
Hey,
So
so your lovely fiance wants his question answered. Okay, so
oh my God.
he he says, "Where are you at in your walk?"
Where am I at in my walk?
Yes,
My walk with
we
God?
do
Is
read
that
the
what you mean?
comments, okay?
My walk with God, I'm assuming is what he means.
Yeah.
Where I am in my walk now is learning, oh my Lord. It is an elevation, I could say. An elevation of rediscovering who I'm supposed to be in my purpose. I am in the walk of submission and commitment, more commitment to God, because I'm about to be married. And that's a whole nother conversation. But it took a whole
Hmm.
lot of things to happen for me to see myself as worthy to be married, number one, and some things I had to work on as being a single independent woman for so many years. that I need to fix for marriage. And I'm just being transparent. Like, man, it's not an easy journey to do that, but that's why I'm at my walk. I'm in my walk of being free. I don't go by religious rules and what the church wants to put on, like what they think being a Christian is oh, you're perfect, you don't do this, you don't do that. No, I'm under grace and mercy. I don't abuse that, but I know I'm covered under that. So where I am now is walking in my freedom with God. I hope that answers your question,
He
Mr. Culpepper.
he said, "Amen."
Yeah, but this was great, y'all. I definitely will have you guys on when I set mine up. But it's gonna be a minute because, like I said, I got a busy year with graduation and wedding and moving and filming and all this stuff. So yeah, it's gonna get there. I do too much, a lot. I'm a very busy person. So
Yeah,
Well,
I want to get my acting career
congratulations.
to take off.
you want to get what?
My acting career to take off. So
Well, that's something you gotta talk to Mr. Culpepper about.
and I already said something to him when he was on the
Did
show.
you?
Yeah, I
Did
did.
you?
I like, if you need somebody else, I'm available.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of good things though. Like I just want to see the thing for me, and I'm gonna close out with this is I even people that have wronged me, because I can go on this whole podcast and we'll never get off about people who have wronged me. I don't focus on the negative. I can honestly
Right.
say that even if you have wronged me, I still want to see you winning and I still want to see you do well. We can agree to disagree. I don't even have to deal with you, see you, kick it with you, or whatever. But at the end of the day, if I saw you in the streets and you needed something and I could provide that for you, I'm going to help you. I'm gonna give it to you. Or if I see you on the street and you need help with whatever, I'm not gonna walk past like I don't know you. I might still speak and leave it at that. But we have to learn how to move past our hurt and be who we're supposed to be. So I'm all about love and growth in love and understanding with each other. Because if you don't, we're gonna continue this cycle of hate and killing and murder and
Yeah.
all this stuff. And it's just time for it. It's time for us to get away from all of that, especially us Black people. Y'all gonna get tired of hearing me say that, but I am pro-Black. I love us, all of us. Even though we do some crazy stuff, I love us, and we can do better. And that's all I'm gonna say with that one.
Yeah, we
We
need to do
definitely
better.
could do better. Definitely. Open up them Bibles. Stop running from it.
Stop running from it and read it for yourself. Then, man, we could talk about that anytime too. Just so you know.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and let Miss Talina get to her date night with Dwayne, because I know they about to get into their little special night with each other. So we ain't gonna hold you too long. We're going to try to keep it short and sweet and straight to the point
Let
so that you
me
have
hold
you know.
you close.
No,
Hey,
thank
hey,
y'all for
Dwayne.
having
Yeah,
me on.
we could do a part two
Okay.
with y'all, man. We can do a part two. He said we need to do a part two with us. So we talk about with you and him, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah,
So
because yeah, we have a
No,
story
we're
to tell
good.
too. Us, we do. So I'm up. I'm all for it. Y'all just let us know when y'all want to talk about it, when y'all want us back, and I'm all for it. We'll make it work.
Okay.
And can y'all
We'll
keep
be in
doing what
touch
y'all
in
doing
the message
too.
just like we do.
I wanna I wanna say that I pray that God continues to add to y'all life. I pray that God continues to elevate y'all and teach y'all, and that y'all be open to receive what He has for y'all in this next season and in this next level of life. And that God continues to protect and cover y'all and everything that y'all doing. In Jesus' name.
amen.
All praises. We
Amen.
appreciate that. Amen. Thank
Yeah.
you.
All
It
right,
is
y'all.
complete.
Amen.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. And y'all have a great night.
Well,
Thanks for having me on.
we appreciate you for coming on. And you have a great
Definitely.
night. Y'all enjoy your date night. Hope y'all have
All
fun
right.
and be safe out there.
We will.
Don't do
Thank
nothing
you.
that I wouldn't do.
Thank you.
Don't ask me what I do.
Right.
Thank y'all. Y'all
Hey,
have a
all
good
right,
night.
Dwayne. Hey, that's what's up, Dwayne. I got you. Cool.
All right. Talk to y'all later.
All right now. All right. So that was nice, man. Definitely thank her for coming in, and we thank you for everybody that came in tonight and checked us out at 7 o'clock and at 9:30. We appreciate the love. Once again, the YouTube channel is up and running now, so you can find that at when you go in, you got to put it just like this in YouTube at Big Three Man Talk Podcast. If you fucking with us, please go and hit that subscribe button, share that thing, like that thing. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on IG. We got some things in the works. We need to go ahead and get us a TikTok popping too, bro. We got to get us a TicTok pop. Um, so like fully
Fuck
capitalize
TikTok.
on this social media world. We got to get one
I
popping.
refuse. I refuse.
Terrible. We appreciate everybody for checking us out tonight. And we shall see you next time. Until next time, peace, love, and so Big Three Man Talk Podcast.
Oh, what the?
When I came